Record flooding in the Midwest, heavy rains.
North Korea is ready to go to war. The situation closer to the brink of nuclear war.
Nobody's safe. I mean, who's safe?
Life on Earth is at an ever-increasing risk of being wiped out by a disaster, such as a sudden nuclear war, a genetically engineered virus, or other dangers.
Far-right parties are becoming more popular.
Le Pen is rising in the polls. ISIS fleet claimed responsibility for this shooting.
A serious and growing threat, which conceivably come at any time.
Hi, and welcome to the second time this video is playing. Welcome to the second edition of the second season of Apocalypse Tonight. Thanks. I'm really glad to see you as well. So we always start off this show with Olympia's rant. My name is Olympia Poupakis, Queen of the Heavens and of the Earth, Empress of Despair, and Architect of your eternal suffering. And speaking of suffering, last time I spoke about street harassment. That was the hot topic that I decided to start off the show. And of course, I don't mean hot as in sexually attractive. It's more of a sort of like a hot button issue for anyone who needed any clarification. Since then, there's been a couple of things that have been happening zum Thema street harassment. There's been a group that's actually taken up this cause that they wanted to combat. Didn't necessarily take it up in the way that I would have taken it up. I was very happy to see that someone was addressing this because it does, at least anecdotally, feels really like transphobic and homophobic street harassment in Berlin is on the up. So a group has come out against this, but I'm not going to spend much time talking about this group because it's more the issue that this argument raises than this particular group. I'm not even going to name them. But they tied this culture, this street harassment, transphobic and homophobic street harassment, to a culture of honour in Islam. I don't really need to spend much time rebutting this because it's obviously racist nonsense. But the point that they raised, there was going to be a demo in September, it didn't happen, which is nice, so it turns out that they're a bit of a political irrelevance, which, you know, I'm not being a bitch about at all. But the point that they raised, I think, is it's really important to talk about because it's one that people don't necessarily know their way around a bit, especially in Germany. Laying out a couple of ground truths. I am an atheist. I'm actually quite left-wing. Of course, I'm the kind of person that's going to acknowledge that all religions can be and often are used to justify bigotry. But it's very much a situation about the material conditions that these religions are taking place in. I think it's always very dangerous and simplistic when we start talking I've seen a number of people in my Facebook feed, let me tell you, who have started off with a very, very strong sort of atheist, anti-religion sort of bent, anti-all religion, man, and have ended up being actually a lot more interested in being anti-Islam than they have been anti-Judaism, anti-Christianity. So I think it can be a little bit of a slippery slope. So I think that it's really important when we're critiquing religion that we take account of the political situation in which this is happening. The official opposition of this country is an actively Islamophobic party. Islamophobia is a real political force in Germany, and an increasing one. So when we're talking about like a culture of honor in Islam or a culture of like homophobic or transphobic bigotry in Islam, we're not doing this in a vacuum. We're doing this in a country, in a continent where the far right is very, very excited about the idea that people with a Muslim background or people from the Middle East are inherently transphobic, sexist, or homophobic. I always forget that one. That this serves a real political purpose for the far right. And so when we're talking about this, we really need to be aware of this context. Back to the facts. The facts actually show that people from a Middle Eastern background are not overrepresented when it comes to street harassment and assaults of trans and queer people. There is a broad pattern, and it tends to be people who are from economically oppressed background, basically. Like it tends to be people from an economically distressed background. I think it's important to note here that this is not, like street harassment is not the only homophobic and transphobic force that's going around in Germany or Europe. It's just that when the bourgeois class is homophobic or transphobic, they tend to enact laws or fund churches that fuck up our lives. So I really also want to caution against the idea that this is also like a working class problem. What I think that means, and the reason that I raised that, is that people who are suffering economic hardship tend to act out that frustration. Or have like some people who do. We can see a broad correlation between an increase in the tax on trans and queer people with an increase in laws and policies that fuck over the working class in Germany. We also see this across Europe and around the world. That raises the question, how do we fight back? Because sometimes it's really fucking scary to go outside if you look amazing. I'm sure there's many, like it's true, like it's an equation every day that I personally face, that it's like, how much do I want to look like myself? And myself looks amazing. And how much am I able to deal with the amount of shit that's going to get me on the street? This is a real problem. People from all different backgrounds, all types of people, a rainbow of transphobes. Like it's a real and pressing problem. So I think it's worth talking about. The answer, you're welcome in advance. Let's have a round of applause for the answer. It's a good answer, isn't it? You don't know what the answer is yet. But the answer is solidarity, which is... Hopefully we'll have more fans of solidarity by the time I've explained the concept. Solidarity is when oppressed groups who might not necessarily have that much in common come together to sort of build bridges across those divides. Because the general idea is that the more of us there are that are united, the better we have a chance of influencing the way that things are run. Because the elite is actually, the elite is a minority, but it's a very, very powerful minority, so it really needs a large majority against it. That's maybe in insultingly simple terms, but hey, you're an audience. People get stupid the more people there are, so you're basically a mob. No? That's not winning me points with them. Okay. Because, like these things where we're fighting over whether particular groups are more or less bigoted than others means that we do get distracted from the massive transfer of wealth from the bottom of society to the top of society that's been happening for the last, actually, like, since longer than I've been alive, and I'm 6,000 years old. No, actually, I'm born in 87, so, glad we mentioned that one. But it's been going on for decades. It's especially increased since the financial crisis. These people managed to fuck up the global economy and then make money out of it. Like, they're really good at their jobs. They're not like good at their jobs in the way that they're supposed to be good at their jobs. They're just good at being bourgeois scum. This is a distraction politics. This is a politics of distraction. That is like the politics of Trump, the politics of the AfD. It's distracting people from this real economic exploitation that's happening to all of us, and asking us basically to fight against each other and not be politically effective. But even though we here at Apocalypse Tonight are committed to and welcoming the end of days, we do think that while we've got a bit of a chance, it's kind of worth working towards trying to avert the apocalypse. So, the concrete solutions that we will offer you next Saturday, you have some really, really nice concrete solutions. We're going to hear a bit more about them later on this evening, but first of all, there's the Unteilbar demonstration. This Unteilbar, for those of you who don't speak the Deutsch, means like uninseparable, or like, is that the, can I get a better translation for that? Indivisible. Sounds very mathematical, I like it. Indivisible. This is happening next Saturday at 1 p.m. We've got someone from the organising team that's going to be a guest tonight, so I don't need to talk too much about it. There's also an event after that, which you're more than welcome to come to, which is a really fun party organised by a really sexually attractive and intelligent drag queen called Queens Against Borders, which is... in solidarity with trans and queer refugees, featuring also and part organised by trans and queer refugees. So please do come along to that. And that was the most uplifting end to one of Olympia's rants that we've ever had at Apocalypse Tonight. You can banter while I say this.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was surprisingly uplifting. I wasn't prepared for that. Also, I don't know if this is related. First Olympia's rant, which I've been sitting on stage silently looking at you like a proud mother for the whole time. Oh. Normally, I'm off stage in the wings. I liked being able to beam at you from this distance.
Beam?
I do it so little. I do it so rarely.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
What's this section called?
You know what the section's
Oh, yes.
called. Come on.
Okay.
You don't joke with me like that.
It was but a joke.
Thank you. Welcome back from that video.
What a wonderful air applause to hear an area siren that was. Better get used to it, everybody. Yeah.
Welcome to the stage, Cheryl.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm Cheryl. And I come on at this part of the show.
What's up, babe?
Oh, nothing much. Just, I was thinking about when you mentioned, at Apocalypse Tonight, we support blah, blah, blah. And I thought of the catchphrase we thought up last night, which was, Apocalypse Tonight, we dust your chairs. Because some of us didn't do that.
We dust your chairs. Yeah, thank you, Rookie.
Yeah. And that sort of sums up the good work we do for our community.
This reminds me of the segment that we did last time that didn't make it into the final cut.
Yes, we thought the audience would find it as funny as we found it to talk about us being high on drugs at Melt Festival together. We still found it funny.
Like funny things that we said and did.
Maybe some things were funny for the crowd, but on the whole, not really.
It was mostly just dumb.
They just sort of nodded along and smiled.
Yeah. But like they're doing right now.
Like they're doing now. I'm triggered. Anyway, Olympia, I'm here to because this is my favorite section. This section is a little something we like to call What's Grinding Our Gears?
Can we try it again?
Yeah. Wait, singular or plural? Our. Okay.
Yeah. What's grinding our gears?
So, I don't know about you, but I've got a couple things grinding my gears tonight. The first thing that's really grinding my gears...
It's the news segment.
It's the news. I'm serious. I have impaired vision when I need to talk about the news. The first thing I want to talk about tonight is Venezuela. Is everyone familiar with Venezuela? It's a country in South America. It's on the north coast. Venezuela in the house, everybody? We know
Venezuela in the house.
We know it exists. Well, many of us don't know, but there is currently an extremely bad migrant crisis that's happening in Venezuela right now. About 2.3 million people have flocked out of the country since 2015, according to the United Nations. A bit of background here, Venezuela was once Latin America's richest nation. It has plentiful oil reserves. And when oil was good for the economy, when the price of oil was high, they experienced a lot of extreme wealth. And this would have been under the former leader of the country, Hugo Chavez, who had a lot of enemies because he was very socialist and nationalized a lot of programs in Venezuela, which wasn't so popular to America, for instance. But right now, the economy is not so great, to put it lightly. The government has unveiled what they're calling, it's a cryptocurrency they're calling the Petro, which they, in essence, enacted just so they could literally mark several zeros off of their currency. That's how the inflation is so terrible. You could have money to buy something, but you don't have the actual goods to buy, because Venezuela relies a lot on imports, and now the price of oil has fell. They don't really have much going on. Their current leader is Nicolas Maduro. He was a protege of Chavez's, and he is, like several other nations you may have heard of, sort of radically orienting his country to be a very right-wing authoritarian place. And many
Nominally left-wing, right?
Well,
it's like
they were
something
socialists,
yeah.
But which that doesn't necessarily dictate they were left-wing. I mean, compared to now, yes.
Yeah. It's like he's not calling it like a right-wing sort of thing. It's like placing himself very much in the tradition.
Right. So I'm a hero of the people and I control all the press. Well, you know that sort of, you know, the strongman figure. Anyway, countries such as the United States have attempted to do something against these policies, such as imposing sanctions. Despite such discrepancies as the United States remains the fourth largest buyer of Venezuela's oil, even as they're imposing sanctions on it to attempt to remove the regime of Mr. Maduro, which isn't really doing much. It's sort of just
talking about an American-backed coup, though, right? Like not like
it's been discussed before, yes, because America was not a fan of Chavez, and they're certainly not a fan of Maduro now. But this migrant crisis is so bad, people are literally flocking away from their homes to neighboring countries in South America. Now, South America, much like the EU, has a very tolerant, sort of open border policy, but it's quickly getting out of control because the Colombian ambassador to the United States, whose name is Francisco Santos, he was meeting in Washington. He said, for comparison, Germany received 1 million refugees from Syria in 3 years. We received that in 1 year from Venezuela. It's really the largest scale migrant crisis that's happening on Earth right now, and no one really knows about it. And that's grinding my gears.
Are there any clues about how this situation is going to go?
Well, it's the way it's unfolding now is Colombia has accepted a lot of these migrants. Brazil has sent armed forces to the border because they want to maintain order. Because I think Brazil's not so happy. Paraguay has also accepted a large number of migrants. However, I think in times like these would be a wonderful chance for a country like, say, the United States to accept these sort of migrants, because not a single person could argue there's any Islamic terrorists in this group of migrants, could they?
Well, I'm sure they
Well, I'm sure they could. They'll argue whatever the hell they want.
They'd find something, yeah. They're not so reliant on...
Yes, but I think people aren't really as correctly estimating the scale of this migrant crisis happening in Venezuela right now. It's millions are just in droves leaving the country right now.
Shit.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of foreseeable thing that's got any sort of response that's coming in the future?
Well, you've seen how willing to accept migrants everyone around the world is.
Certainly we could the internal affairs of Venezuela. Is there anything?
Right now, I honestly, who really knows what the United States government will do on any given day at this stage, but they seem to be really aggressively pursuing a regime change in the country right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, is easier said than done, and that's a very sticky situation because, the United States has a bit of a reputation for changing regimes in places, and it doesn't always go that well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is grinding your gears, Cheryl?
Well, I thought maybe we could talk about Greece a bit now. You want to talk about Greece a bit?
Yeah, something's really grinding my...
Something's grinding Olympia's gears tonight. Rarely.
Yeah, so, usually I'm not the one who sort of raises issues. I'm more the one that has those penetrating questions. But I wanted to raise this issue because this is actually something that I've heard a bit from the queer Greek community in Berlin, that they're trying to...
Love the queer Greeks, yes. We love that. Round of applause for the queer Greek community. Yes, love that.
There has been a tragedy in the queer community in Athens on the 21st of September. a drag performer and queer activist named Zach Kostopoulos was killed. This came when initial reports were saying that he was like a robber, like a thief with a knife in a jewelry store, and that he was trying to rob the store. This is how it was reported in the media initially. It has since come out that he went into the jewellery store not to rob anything, but to escape a brawl that was happening nearby. He became trapped in the store. We know this because video footage has come out. So this was dismissed as a pretty sort of like open-shut case by the police, by the media. It seems like Zach was a well-loved figure by the LGBT community in Athens. So they have been able, with these videos, to make a bit of noise, to actually look at this situation a bit more. So it has emerged from the footage that he was, as he was trying to escape this jewellery store, he was brutally beaten by the owner of this store and another man. The police, when they arrived, handcuffed him upon arriving after he'd been savagely beaten by these two men. And then it shows then, as he tried to escape, that the police were beating him further, and he died on the way to hospital. From, speaking as myself, looking at all of these different reports that we're seeing, it's impossible to know exactly what happened in the last moments of Zach Kostopoulos' life. But what is for sure, without a doubt, is that his death was totally unnecessary. The two men... the two men are in custody after the public outcry. And made the police actually look into it further. Yeah, but it basically just raises the question how many times this has happened to people who didn't have a community of people to make noise for them, and people who didn't have this incident filmed. So if the police are doing this in this case, then we have to ask the police, the media, are doing this in this case. We have to ask ourselves how many times this has happened and not been reported upon. There's been a call out from a number of the queer community in Athens to publicise this as to far and wide, so that this isn't just let go. So if you see articles about this, raising this online, then please do share them further, because they need as much pressure as possible to make sure that that Zach's death does not go uninvestigated.
I think integral to that, what's so disturbing about the way many countries, including my own America, are going right now is the erosion in trust of the press, because having trust in the press is pretty crucial to, exactly as you were saying, like we need to rely on the press to be able to report these kinds of things and not be, propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really need to maintain.
Yes, and on that note, just a mini grinding my gear, I'm really pissed off at Mark Zuckerberg, by the way. Facebook just sucks. I mean, it's awful. It's awful. The need for like a legitimate, because Facebook has now wormed its way into our lives. We all rely on it, and there's such a strong need for us to have what Facebook once was for us to use is now.
Jeremy Corbyn was talking about this recently.
The lack of accountability of that company is just makes my blood boil.
Yeah, it's fucked. A number of really big queer event organising pages have been shut down just recently.
Yes, or even us trying to promote this event. Facebook deprioritizes events in your community for you to see a photo of a boob or something. I don't know. You can't post photos of boobs.
I'm starting to think that Mark Zuckerberg has a little bit of a thing against trans communism. I don't know.
We can say that now because this used to be streamed on Facebook Live, but we're not on Facebook Live anymore. So.
Yeah, so fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Sincerely.
Yes. I had a sex stream about him once.
You mentioned you had a sex stream about him recently,
I had this thrilling sex stream about Mark Zuckerberg, and it was just whoa,
good one.
It was amazing. It was just he just fucked touched me, and it was really, really good. I don't remember like the actual act, but like just whatever he did to me, it just like shook my bones.
Maybe it was a metaphor for how Facebook inserted itself into your life.
Yeah, actually, yeah. He fucked me and controlled me.
Real good.
But then I was like, and then I couldn't stop having really sexual thoughts about Mark Zuckerberg whenever I used Facebook. And then I was like in my dream, he was so sexy. But then I like saw an interview with him, and I was like the sound of 1,000 boners wilting.
Is that what that sounds like?
That's the name of my album. But Lumpy Bouquet Mix, 1,000 boners wilting.
The face that wilted 1,000 bones. Olympia Bukakis.
That's a clever joke, but that's all right.
Yeah. That was a joke about the Iliad for literature fans in the audience. It was my major. I don't know if you can tell. I want to spend one more moment in this segment just to talk about Poland a bit, because I'm sure we all hear there's some disturbing things happening in Poland, but I was reminded, I just saw a news post today from Reuters that was saying how Poland and Hungary are taking the EU to court over a series of labor reforms the EU just passed. And I thought, oh, Poland and Hungary, what do they have in common? Oh, right, I always hear about them being really, really right-wing authoritarian without actually having, well, I can't say what to back it up. So I wanted to just focus a bit on Poland tonight, because I'm very alarmed at what's happening in Poland. Just a quick overview. So the ruling party in Poland right now is called the Law and Justice Party. They are essentially a nationalist Catholic conservative regime. They gained power in a slim parliamentary majority in 2015. And in the time since, they violated the Polish constitution in order to appoint new judges to the Constitutional Court. They did the same to the Polish Supreme Court. They've changed local election rules to allow further government oversight in how the results of elections are tallied and tabulated. They have, I would say reclaimed, but the government never owned in the first place. So they claimed Poland's state media, their state public broadcast, and unabashedly show propaganda on it for the current regime. And they've changed civil service laws so it's easier to allow non-professionals to hold governmental positions, to sort of eschew the requirements that were formerly in place. And that is, when you look at it all like in a laundry list like that, is a really great way of seeing how what we think is a stable country 3 years later is now one of the most authoritarian places on earth. It's all this sort of subtle introduction of laws that is done legally, technically. But there's a Warsaw election on October 21st. It's a municipal election. I think it's just really important for any of the Poles who would happen to see this. They know how important it is to go out and get the vote. But again, it's hard when you see that the federal government has so much control over election results, how it happens. But it really pisses me off because when they have EU meetings with the full council, that Donald Tusk, who is a really great guy and is really putting faith back in the name Donald for me, I love that guy. He's attempted to introduce legislation to sort of impose sanctions on places like Poland and Hungary that are very clearly violating a lot of human rights in the EU, but they aren't able to do so because there's EU council rules that are meant, like someone in Donald Tusk's position is meant to stay apolitical when you're representing the union of these nations. But I think, though we don't have enough time left on this earth to sort of dilly-dally around it, I think we really need to press, you need to put sanctions on countries like Poland and Hungary. You should not let them get any of the rights of the European Union if they don't have a free media or free and fair elections. I don't think they deserve the benefits that EU membership would get. And I think we really need to sort of have more of a vocal outcry against what we think are safe havens, like are very clearly becoming dangerous places. We need to call attention to that. We need to call them out on it. They should not be getting anything that comes with being in the EU.
I think it's also about building international, inter-European solidarity. The leftist movements helping each other and supporting each other, throughout the European Union. So using this idea of this connectivity that comes from the European Union with things like free movement and stuff like that. This also allows solidarity across borders that doesn't necessarily. It might be more difficult in different situations. So, yeah.
Yeah, write your EU congressman. Tell them that's how it works.
African American, you guys.
I know, I'm not a member of the EU. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, you're not a member.
just a resident.
Not
Yeah.
personally. All right, well, I think that wraps it up for what's
That's what's grinding our gears
rising
tonight,
up here.
everybody. Yeah.
So we're just going to get ready for our next segment.
You can round of applause if you enjoyed that segment.
The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. Locked in tight, strapped in your arms. At least it's how I thought I'd fall towards your heart. I hold on tight, no fear, no fright. Wind rushing through our hair, it's right all night. You said into red sunsets, into mystery. Present me, tempt me, might fuck with my head, or leave me mid-air, mid-air. The fall, the fall, the fall. The fall, the fall, the fall, the fall, the fall. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. Oh baby, fuck me right. Strap on your charms. Never to feel good enough when you hold me in your arms. But you keep me by your side to have myself high. Everything around me, but hey, I'm doing fine. I said, floating consciousness into black reds, be falling for you, just my fucking my head. Oh, leave me mid-air, mid-air. Just pretend that you care. Just pretend that you care. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. No time like the present, this emptiness, kiss and a physical sickness. I'm falling in fear again. We'll never be here again. No time like the present, this emptiness, kiss and a physical sickness. I'm falling in fear again. We'll never be here again. No time like the present, this emptiness, kiss and physical sickness. I'm falling in fear again. We'll never be here again. We'll never be here again. We'll never be. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. The only thing you go for is making me fall in love with you. You are the fall. You are the fall. The fall, the fall, the fall, the fall. The fall,
I did my first like magic sigil of like all the things I want in a boy. I was in the forest in like South Germany, and I was like wrote down all the things I want in a boy, made this sigil to like get to manifest this motherfucker, and he came to me like 3 weeks later. That's just it was. And ever since then, this is like why, not one of the reasons why I've gotten into sigils and like shit like this. But he was exactly all the things that I wrote on that piece of paper, put into that sigil. He was all those things, and he lacked everything else, like all the in between. It was like, it was beautiful, it was like cute, successful, lacked everything else. The sex was never good, but he ended up just telling me he did sexually design me. So yeah, then this song came about.
What could have been? Let it go, let it go, let it go. What could have been? Let it go, let it go, let it go. What could have been? He's just a has-been. What could have been? He's just a has-been. And I'll keep pretending I am okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. If only if he knew what I'm doing today, what would he say? Say. It's been 7 days and 7 different men I fucked ever since you told me you don't sexually desire me no more. So I'll fuck another 7 more because I care to remind myself how decided I am. I need that quick fix, a sickening hit of validation. Different days, same hit, man after man, because I can't look how pathetic I am. Now one of them can give me what you care. I imagine it's you while he fucks my red tongue. I'll make sure he's sexier than you. Let it go, let it go, let it go. I'll make sure he doesn't have a clue who I am, who I am, who I am. What does this mean? In bed with another has-been. What does this mean? I fucked another has-been, and I'll keep pretending I am okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. If only if he knew what I'm doing today, what would he say? Say. It's been 7 days and 7 different men I fucked ever since you told me you don't sexually desire me no more. So I'm fucked another 7 more because I care to remind myself of the power I am. I need that quick fix, a sickening hit of validation. Different days, same hit, man after man, because I can't look how pathetic I am. Now one of them can't give me what you care. I imagine it's you while he fucks my red tongue. Different days, same hit, man after man, because I can't look how pathetic I am. Now one of them can't give me what you care. I imagine it's you while he fucks my red tongue. 7 men, I took them all to heaven. For you to tell me you don't desire me no more. For you to tell me you don't desire me no more. 7 men, I took them all to heaven. 7 days, I took 7 men to heaven. Name one person you know who can do what I can. For you to tell me you don't desire me no more. 7 men, I took them all to heaven. Name one person you know who can do what I can. Name one person you know who's magic like I am. Name one person you know who fucks like I can. Name one person you know who can do what I can. 7 men, I took them all to heaven. 7 men, not one connection. 7 days, how pathetic I am. I took them all to heaven. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for joining us, Nora.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, I'll turn on your microphone too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll turn it here. Hi.
Yeah,
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, Nora, we have invited you as a member and representative of the organising team of the Unteilbar demonstration. So thank you and welcome. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself first? You gave yourself a really good self-description that your housemate gave me that I would love to share with the audience.
Yes, my flatmate once described me as a Nazi hunter. Which
Nazi
was a huge
hunter.
compliment.
And it's always open season, so it's like a round-the-year job.
All right, yeah, and then I guess tell us a bit about this demonstration you've been organizing and like who was involved, etc.
So maybe I'll start with how it all began. There's an organization of leftist lawyers who thought, in this political situation about what's happening now with the criminalization of rescuing people in the Mediterranean, with the new police laws, all these political changes, the racism that we think it wasn't thinkable before and now it's becoming reality. So they said we need a huge protest, we need to organize all together, we need a huge demonstration. They started, got a lot of other organizations involved. First there were leftist groups, migrants organizations, refugee groups, queer feminist groups, neighborhood initiatives, and together we wrote a call and got more and more people involved, and now even branches of the unions, big NGOs like Medico International, for example, or Pro Asyl, Amnesty International are joining us, and we all want to join forces for this Unteilbar demonstration.
That's amazing. How long did this process take? Like, when did this? What's the timeline? Because this protest is next. This demonstration is next Saturday, the 13th. When did the organisation for this start?
Mid-July.
This year?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's a lot of progress in a short period of time.
It's like kind of a crazy project. At the beginning we were all laughing about the idea and we didn't thought it would be possible. But now, like a week before, I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, it's looking pretty big on Facebook. I saw there's also really big blocks as well, like different groups of people that are taking part.
Yeah, that's the way we're organizing. We have like 30 different organizations who come with a wagon and then have their talks there and music. So it's going to be, for example, a block organized by Seebrücke, the movement, anti-racist movement for the for the right to rescue people in the Mediterranean. They are doing a blog. There are other organizations like a feminist blog, there's a queer blog, there are going to be some techno vegans as well in the end of the protest for everybody who likes to go raving, and for solidarity that's also possible there, yeah.
So something for everyone.
There's a few people in the audience here who would probably appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I remember when there was the Nazis Wegbussen block of the protest against this AfD demo. It was so exciting to see so many queers on the street for something other than Pride, because Pride so often feels so depoliticized, and like you just have like it's just a whole bunch of body fascism and corporatization that just and you end up feeling. Or sometimes you just feel like shit after you go into these private. Sometimes you feel.
I honestly can't stand going to Pride events.
Yeah, so like sometimes it's just not very nice. You know, other times it's nice. Maybe you're a happier person than I and Cheryl are. But like often it just leaves you feeling crap. But at this demonstration, it was so amazing because it was with solidarity in mind. This was not just like demonstrating about queer stuff. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these queers at this block as well. So I guess you've kind of answered this, but like why has it been called this demonstration?
I think there are plenty of reasons why we see in our everyday lives, but especially on politics, that we need a political change now. Otherwise, it's apocalypse, basically. We see the far right raising. Now the AfD is the second strongest party in Germany. So next year it's going to be municipality elections in one of their strongest municipalities in Sachsen, Brandenburg and Thüringen. It's going to be dangerous there. The Nazis are already hunting people in the streets in Chemnitz. We all knew that. We all know this. So that's one of for me personally, that's the most important reason. But then there are other reasons, like the new police laws, giving more power to the police, like that police that's beating up people at Kotti, for example, that's criminalizing activists and not working for us. So this movement against the police laws is also joining our protest. And of course, generally, we are also organizing for solidarity and for social justice against the redistribution from below to above. But we wanted to have the other way around.
That sounds like a much better way of doing it.
There's no reason to ask why people should get involved, but I guess how, for instance, people here in this room, how could we get involved? How can we get involved with this protest?
Okay, as it's only 1 week until the protest, the best way to get involved is to help mobilizing. And so I put some leaflets for you there at the entrance. So when you go out, you take some leaflets and stickers, put them everywhere, invite all your friends and everybody you think should go to this demonstration. Put it up, like share the Facebook event, invite all your friends, put it up on Facebook, on Twitter, on your Instagram, on Grindr, Tinder, wherever you are on platforms of the internet, just put it there. Tell everybody to go, and then let's have a huge demonstration of solidarity all together on the 13th of October at Alexanderplatz at noon.
And it's there at the entrance. Materials at the entrance, everyone. Materials at the entrance.
And by the time this video actually goes to air, that demo will have been the spark that lit the fire that destroyed global capitalism. So you're welcome, because we showed up, so we shared it. Yeah, but like we're really aiming for it to be I'm also an organizer now. I do a lot. You know, I'm a busy lady, but really aiming for it to be really fucking massive, right? And I think also this is the thing that's really important that happens at demos, is that people talk. So it's not just about like showing up and walking down the street and then it's done. This is a fantastic place for different people to actually meet each other and then to also plan other stuff that they're doing. So yeah. go along. It's important. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question, because you can see how stressed I am about a lot of things in the world that I have no way of directly impacting myself. You could probably relate. I think many of us can. What do you do to not lose your mind and keep control? How do you de-stress?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Do you organise massive demonstrations? Or
Is that how you de-stress?
Oh, that's such a personal question. Yeah, like now, 1 week before the protest, there's no way to be stressed.
Well, no.
Honestly, no. But after that, I just go dancing. Switch off my mind.
when you go dancing?
Very kind.
So you're going to go like immediately the day after? So the demo's on the Saturday, are you going to go immediately and then straight the day after?
I don't know yet. It depends on my task.
Yeah.
But I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, would you like to go to a party maybe on the Saturday evening that's called Queens Against Borders? Is that also
Much less stressful and much less toxic masculinity than BoyCon.
Yes.
Yes.
Dance with femmes. Oh, there's femmes in Backcountry. I actually haven't been for 2
They're just
years.
shuffled in the corner. Pushed against the corner of the wall.
They're just bitching about everyone in the back. I sort of like talked about this, and you also spoke like when we were talking before about like important considerations in terms of, because it's such a big demo, and the like speaking in past tense, it was such a massive demo that lit this spark that established global socialism.
That ruined capitalism forever.
Yeah, that showed at the door. This also like raises considerations about how it is that we organise together. So, do you have any insights after working with so many groups about how to manage getting so many different kinds of people together?
It's always about compromise, actually. If you are within one political organization, you already have disagreements. If you are a coalition, you need a specific common aim that's more important than everything else. So for Otaimba, for example, the most important thing is to put a huge sign for solidarity. And this can also mean that we have to forget during this day or keep calm about some other things we disagree on. So it's about compromise and focusing on the common goal, and then for other things you focus on your own small group where you have a bigger common basis.
Yeah, so it's like about strategy and not losing sight of the end goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is such an important thing as well. Like, I know, especially I found, I was involved in student politics. I was the queer officer of my student union, and I was...
How did you get that job?
I was elected.
Wow.
Unopposed. I was elected unopposed, actually. So I was actually shuffled into that office. But it was only because the other tickets didn't, the other parties didn't actually put up...
I run a student government election. I know what it's like to run unopposed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
so
yes.
I like to think that means I just won even more than usual. I have to, looking back with a bit of critical distance, can say that I didn't always have my eyes on the end goal. That it can be a thing that happens with queer millennials. But although we're unprecedented, well, no, not unprecedented, but we're like a radical generation that's coming up. They are
Gen Z.
Yeah,
Gen Z is the radical one.
It's really heartening, but we also do see a little bit like the commodification of especially of supposedly leftist politics, and it means that we do lose. It becomes very much a focus on the individual experience of being involved in larger scale politics, and it can mean that we forget. So we care more about someone using a slightly incorrect word or something than ensuring the conditions that mean that we continue to work towards this final goal of establishing global socialism.
Ain't it fun?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be. No, it is quite difficult. But so this is. I don't know. It's nice to hear that this is a strategy that's actually working in terms of maintaining priorities and working towards that.
Because it doesn't happen so often that you see so many people working together to like beat down right-wing shit.
It's true. It's something special with Unteilbar that it really works. I think that is because so many people can focus on the higher goal. Because the situation is so bad that we have to stick together, and it's clearly if we let them divide us, we lose. And we can already see how it looks like when we're losing, like for example when we look like Poland, when we look to Poland. But on the other hand, it's also important not to forget about our goals. So for example, when I'm working together with Social Democrats, it's still important that I say Hartz IV was a bad idea and we need socialism. But it's not what I put on the
front page.
Not on the front page. But when we talk together, of course, there are our other goals, and also like anti-discrimination is always a point which you also have between two people working together in an organization. You can't forget it, but you should also believe in change. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. We will all see you at the demo. And again, there is literature and information about how to attend at the entrance.
We are now going to take a break. We will be back
with our musical guest.
With our musical guest after the break. There's plenty more. There's also open mic psychiatry.
Don't go anywhere.
This is a format where we tell you our problems and you're our psychiatrist.
It works really well. Trust us. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be back. Don't forget to tip your bartender. And another round of applause for Nora. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining us for the second edition of the second season of Apocalypse Tonight. We will be joining you next time soon. We'll put the date. Don't forget to subscribe. We can edit this. It's been a pleasure to be with you. And now I'm not gonna play the video, but please, do you have anything to say? No, just oh my God,
you're on a roll.
Oh my God, am I doing a good job, Mum? So please, a big round of applause for Cheryl's Lament.
End of the show, we call it Cheryl's Lament. I decided to do this song, which I think if those of you in the audience who are familiar with my performances may have seen this one already, but I was inspired to do it again for two reasons. One of which is that I do a monthly performance called Cheryl's Sing-Along Toilet at Schwartz and Plastic. It's literally a toilet. And I realized that this performance. Oh, you wanted to say the anecdote?
I just want to. Sorry, just off the stage. Quote that. I'm on the stage still. But Cheryl introduced her act on Friday at 4 a.m. in this toilet, saying, "Listen, you all, man. It's cool if you all came here to shit or piss, but I want to sing you a song or two while you're here." It was beautiful.
Which is true. I mean, I'm just selling it honestly. But I realized this song I'm about to do, I haven't done outside of a toilet in literally over a year. And it's a subject matter which I'm pretty passionate about and is much better suited to not being in a toilet, I realized last week. Also, the subject matter is a bit about street harassment, as we've discussed, about the annoyance of constantly being harassed in the street, and since our last Apocalypse Tonight, I've been assaulted twice in the street just for being looking amazing, as you said. So this song really just only continues to grow in pertinence with me. Now comes the fun part. Those of you who have come to the toilet or seen my show I used to do called Cheryl Sing Along Fun Time know that I love nothing more than a bit of audience engagement and sing along. So I'm gonna need your help for this song. Oh wow, I love that groan. That was a fun groan. So it's gonna be very easy, don't you worry. There's gonna be a couple phrases in this song that I repeat several times, and I'm just gonna need you to sing it back to me. And the first one is gonna go like this. So I'm going to sing, "They're all mad I ain't a cis girl." And every time I say that, I need you all to repeat back to me, "Mad I ain't a cis girl." Right, so let's try it. "They're all mad I ain't a cis girl." Mad I ain't a cis girl. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. I need more. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. Good, better. Now the next one's even easier. I'm gonna say, "Whoa, that's some shit." And when I sing that, I just need you to go back to me, "That's some shit." You wanna try it? Here we go. "Whoa, that's some shit." That's some shit. Louder. "Whoa, that's some shit." That's some shit. Great. "Whoa, that's some shit." That's some shit. "They're all mad I ain't a cis girl." Mad I ain't a cis girl. I think you guys are ready. You all ready for this? Let's call Mad I ain't a cis girl. All right. Technical problems. Oh, okay, start over.
That didn't go.
Yes, right, okay, ready. That's some shit. Audience, are you ready for this? A few people like to attack, say I got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. A few people like to attack, say I got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. Perfect. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Great. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. I heard that you were talking shit and you didn't think that I would hear it. Talking about how weird I am by the way that I dress up. You don't like my skirt, you don't like my heels, you don't like the way that I wear my lipstick. Calm down, don't be a dick, no need to get your stress up. A few people like to attack, say I've got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. A few people like to attack, say I've got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Yes. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. So listen up, you don't have to like the way that I present my body. Frankly, that's my business. What you think? So what? What I recommend next time you're with someone who leaves you second guessing, keep your comment to yourself, stick a finger up your butt. Few people like to attack, say I've got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Can't hear you. Few people like to attack, say I've got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. What is it? Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Whoa, that's some shit. Let me hear you say this shit is oppressive. Stop acting like such a dick. This shit is oppressive. Stop acting. Okay, again, this shit is oppressive. Stop acting like such a dick. This shit is oppressive. Stop acting like such a dick. A few people like to attack, say I got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl. Mad I ain't a cis girl. Few people like to attack, say I got a gender that's out of whack. They're all mad I ain't a cis girl.
shit. That's some shit. Yeah, it is. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit. Last time. Whoa, that's some shit. That's some shit.